Wow, you really clicked on this video. This is, thank you. Yeah, I am honored. I only have 200 subscribers. Did you know that? And most of them probably don't even watch these videos. So, thank you for your time. I'm gonna try to literally waste almost none of it. Okay, so this guide is gonna be hopefully the only guide you need to get going and understanding this game, understanding the story, tips on a few things in here, some helpful resources. I'm going to be linking some other creators as well, really helping you figure out how to play this game, because this game leaves a lot to be figured out. And my mission is to have figured it out for you already. I will timestamp some specific areas in this, since this most likely is going to be a pretty long video, but I am going to trim it and cut it up as much as I can so that we are not wasting your time. The timestamps should be on the screen right about now. We got a few things that we're going to talk about, so let's get going. So I'm going to start off by assuming that you know nothing. Like, you know nothing about the story, you know nothing about how to play. Now, I personally am not going to tell you all about the story, but I am going to recommend you check out My Name is Bife. He is a content creator for Destiny, and he makes really great content. He goes into all of the lore, he makes really amazing videos, but there is a particular video I think you should check out if you don't know anything. It's 3 hours long. You don't have to watch it. You can just listen to it if you want. You can put it on when you go to work or school or the gym or wherever. Maybe even while you play the game. It is an awesome resource. So check that out. Let's talk about classes. There are hunters, warlocks, and titans. Each have 3 elemental subclasses: void, solar, and arc. And in each of those subclasses, there are 3 trees of perks available. There are only 2 available for free-to-play players, and you get the third one for buying Forsaken or Shadowkeep. You don't need to buy both. You have a super ability, which is very powerful, but it takes a while to charge up. You also have a grenade ability and a melee ability. And hunters, warlocks, and titans each have their own different class ability. A dodge, a rally barricade, and a rift. Make sure you read the perks on these trees so you know what they're doing. Let's talk about your power level. Your power level is based on the average of all of the armor pieces and weapons that you have equipped. So let's say you have some armor pieces that are a little over 800, and some weapon pieces and armor pieces that are a little under 800, and then your average power level is showing about 801. In order to get that higher, obviously you just need to increase the power level of the items that you have available in those lower slots, and your power level will start going up. More on that here in just a second. The seasonal artifact also gives a power bonus that gets added on top of that, but goes away after the season is over. With the artifact, you can level it infinitely, as long as you're playing the game a bunch, but eventually it will get harder and harder to level up with it because it requires more and more experience with each level. But like I said, it is infinite. You could just keep going and going and going with it. The game gives you higher powered gear based on the max power you can achieve with the items you already have. The items don't need to be equipped in order for the game to calculate it. They can be in your vault, or they can be, they don't need to be equipped. They can be on your character but not equipped. But the one place they cannot be is the postmaster. If you have more powerful items that got lost and the postmaster is holding them for you right now, those will not get calculated into your next drops. So make sure you're pulling those items out of the postmaster's inventory. Sometimes you will get a higher power drop in a slot, but you might not like that weapon or that armor piece, but you should keep it. Just even move it to your vault or something, because you need to at least have that higher power in that slot for you to continue to get additional power for your gear. Until you are 900 power, every item in the game is going to be a powerful drop for you. So you can just play Strikes or Gambit or Crucible or whatever you want. You can play the story missions. Every single item, every blue, every legendary, everything is going to be powerful for you until your average power level is at 900. Once you are at 900, there will only be a few specific powerful drop sources in the game. They will be noted by these little gold circles next to each destination, and when you click on those, you can find what they are talking about specifically in there with these little emblems, and they tell you the description of what you got to do to get that powerful drop, and they show the tiers of those. There's a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. There are also a few pinnacle sources of power in the game, which are typically the hardest things in the game you can do, but they will give you massive power boosts. They can also bring you into the last 10 gear levels of that season. So for example, in Season of the Dawn, powerful rewards can get you to 960, but in order to get to 970, you're going to need pinnacle rewards to push your gear past that. Now, your artifact can bring you up to 970, but we're talking about gear level right here. All right, I'm going to talk about some useful resources for you really quick. Other than YouTube and you just being able to generally look up whatever you need to, like weapon reviews, guides on the Whisper dungeon and the Owlbreak dungeon, and just figuring all those things out, let me explain some things. First of all, the vault. This is just in the game. You can take the items that are in your inventory and put them in your vault, and you can share those weapons with other characters. Like say you make another character, say you started on a warlock, you want to make a hunter now too, you can share those weapons. You can't share armor because they wear completely different armor, but you can share weapons, which is very handy, and you can do that through the vault. Now, if you want to be even more next level, you can use the Destiny app to move items from your vault like straight up on your phone. Like you can be in an activity and be like, boom, move it over. Even more next level than that is Destiny Item Manager. Google that. I'll leave a link for you too. All you gotta do is sign in with your Bungie account with whatever platform you're playing Destiny on, and you can see everything. You can see all of your consumables, all of your armor, your ships, shaders, weapons, everything, and you can easily see the stats on them, see what roles they are. You can see every detail about them, and you can move them around wherever you gotta go, and you can just keep playing the game. No need to go back to the tower or anything like that. Just move it right there. It's so awesome. Next is a website called light.gg. This website has all the info you need on any of the weapons you're curious about, any of the armor you're curious about. If you're like, oh dang, I got this pretty cool spare rations. I wonder if I could get, Rampage on this or something, or I wonder what other perks I can get on this. Is this something that I want to go find some more different roles on? Like, you can find all of that. It's an awesome resource. It also just helps you, find loot that you want to go for. So definitely recommend. Another thing you can look into is Discords. Destiny LFG Discords. I'll leave a link to one that I go to down below. But there's all sorts of kinds. Lots of Destiny creators have their own Discords. I have a Discord. True Vanguard, Aztecross, like I'm sure a bunch of these other Destiny YouTubers all have their own Discords as well, with their own communities that you can get involved with. They are going to be a great resource for you. I would also recommend getting involved with a clan. You can do that from Bungie's website if you want. You can also find those posts on Reddit. I think there's a clan recruitment subreddit in Destiny, actually. Plus, getting involved with a clan will give you access to more knowledge. More people will know what the heck they're doing, and they can help you and answer questions for you personally. Next, let's talk about weapon damage and ammo type. There are 3 weapon slots. There's kinetic, energy, and heavy. Heavy requires purple ammo and does the most damage. The other two can be a little bit confusing. In the top slot is where weapons that do kinetic damage are, and in the middle slot is where your energy weapons are. Kinetic weapons do more damage than energy weapons, but not a massive amount. I think it's only about 5%. But energy weapons deal more damage to shielded enemies. You're going to want to use those to shoot the shielded enemies. Like, trust me, like, kinetic weapons do poo-poo damage to shields. The other thing to know is that if you match your energy type with the shield, then it will cause an explosion. So if you've got a void energy weapon and you shoot a void shield, boom. The other thing to know is that there are special ammo weapons and primary ammo weapons. Most of the time you're going to want one of each, and both can be in the kinetic and energy slots. So you could use a special ammo weapon in your top slot and in the middle slot, and one of them will be energy, one of them will be kinetic. But the issue you can run into is that special ammo is more rare, so you will most likely run out of ammo if you're running two special ammo weapons. Primary ammo is exactly how you think about it. It's your primary weapon. It's your main weapon that you're using most of the time to kill most enemies. That ammo is abundant. The thing is, most of the time you're not going to want to use two primaries because you're going to need special ammo weapons to deal with majors and more higher health targets and potentially even bosses. If you're having to shoot majors, especially in difficult content, with your primary ammo weapon, or a boss with a primary ammo weapon, other than Outbreak Perfected, of course, you're going to be doing almost no damage, and it is going to hurt. It is going to suck. I'm going to leave a link to some damage spreadsheets so you can see what weapons deal what damage if that is something that interests you. For weapon perks, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but if you want to maximize efficiency, there are tons of reviews for almost every weapon in Destiny, and Datto has a hilariously accurate video about weapon perks. I also have one myself listed below. Feel free to check out either or both of them. For a too long didn't go watch another video, reload and damage boosting perks are basically going to be the best perks. Perks that give range or better handling are great for PvP. For console, stability is a pretty good alternative as well. And perks that make you just jump through too many hoops to activate such a mild effect are basically going to be the ones you're going to want to trash, like pulse monitor and underdog. Those basically aren't perks. Okay, now we're going to talk about armor and stats and mods. First, we're going to be talking about affinity. Each armor piece has an affinity with either void, solar, or arc. I'm going to have a chart up here to show you kind of what affinity affects what weapons and what perks. You can find this chart in the description below as well. There are generic mods that you can apply to an armor of any affinity, but they are going to cost more energy and just going to be, less efficient. Next, let's talk about stats. For stat totals, I would say anything above 60 is top tier. I would also say pay attention to some mid to high 50 stat armor, but I personally always delete armor below 50. Recovery, intellect, and discipline are stats that are the most recommended stats because they help you stay alive, and they reduce the cooldowns on your grenade and super abilities. Stats also only matter in tiers. The difference between having 30 discipline and 39 discipline is literally nothing. You have to hit 40 to be at tier 4 discipline to get the benefit. Here's a little chart showing that. You can also click the link below to see this chart for yourself, or you can screenshot the screen right now, whatever you want. Another thing to note is that the mobility stat affects the hunter class ability cooldown, recovery affects the warlock class ability cooldown, and resilience affects the titan's class ability cooldown. So the higher those stats are, the faster you're going to get those class abilities back as those characters. Masterworking an item is going to give you +2 stats to all 6 stats on your armor. That is masterworking it to level 10, which is going to require an Ascendant Shard and some Enhancement Prisms. You also get that benefit on class items. Now, you're going to look at class items, you're going to see they don't have any stats on them, but if you masterwork it, you do get +2 to all 6 stats. It is also recommended to have your class item be the first item that you masterwork, since you don't need to look for nice rolls on a class item. Just get a class item you like that's maybe an armor affinity that you like Void or something maybe, and masterwork that thing. For ornaments and shaders, you can get these from Eververse with Bright Dust or Silver, and you can get shaders from just about anywhere. And by anywhere, I mean anywhere in the world, chests, completing activities. You can get shaders from all over the place. You can also reacquire them from collections. So once you've discovered a shader, you can just look right in your collections and purchase them back for a very small fee of glimmer and legendary shards. All right, now let's talk about economy. First, we're going to talk about Bright Dust. You can get this very rare currency from weekly bounties, from Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit. You can also get them from the repeatable bounties from those 3 activities vendors as well. And I would very much recommend that you save up your Bright Dust for a ghost shell that will eventually show up in the Eververse weekly store for you that only costs Bright Dust, that gives you 10% XP boost everywhere. The perk is called Guiding Light, so look out for one of those shells and save your Bright Dust for one of those, because then you will be leveling up your artifacts faster and getting those tiers faster, which is very nice. Next, we've got Glimmer, the most common currency in the entire game. It drops from enemy kills, activity completions, bounties. You use it to apply mods, use it for masterworking, you use it to buy bounties. It's pretty cheap. There is also a cap to how much you can hold, which is 250,000. If you find yourself at or near the cap a lot, then you should consider buying raid banners from Hawthorne or planetary materials from the Spider in the Tangled Shore. Next, we've got legendary shards. These come from dismantling legendary gear. Sometimes quests or bounties can give these out. You use these to also masterwork items, and the main thing you're going to be using them for, and that I would recommend saving them for, is buying exotic gear from Zur on the weekends. You can find out his location and his inventory on Reddit and other various websites. You can subscribe to people like Esoteric on YouTube. He always is there with the location and inventory, so those are great resources as well. Next, there are planetary materials. There is a specific material available to each planet that is exclusive to that planet, or destination, I should say, and they can be found in chests. You can find actual little nodes of the material on the planets. You can also get them from bounties on those planets. You can also exchange glimmer or legendary shards at the Spider on the Tangled Shore for these planetary materials, and these are used to also masterwork gear. You can also use them to buy upgrade modules at the gunsmith in the tower. The last thing you can use these for is you can turn them in to the vendor that is available on that planet in order to get a random piece of legendary gear from that planet. This is not recommended, as the stats on the armor typically are very low, and the weapons are oftentimes year 1 weapons that do not have random rolls. Next, we have Finest Matterweave, Pure Matterglass Lens, and Rainmaker. These consumables are all found just by randomly getting them from dismantling legendary gear. These are just things that I would recommend you use as soon as you can, because otherwise you'll end up like me, and I have hundreds of these and I will never use them all. I'll never use them all. and they're great to get additional resources for you, especially as a new player. Next, we have enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, and ascendant shards. These are all used for the higher levels of masterworking, and the prisms and ascendant shards come from nightfalls. You can also get enhancement cores from dismantling gear that's already a little bit higher in its masterwork. You can also get enhancement cores from bounties from the gunsmith, and you can also get the prisms and the ascendant shards by trading up some of the lower tier materials for them, though it's very expensive and not recommended for new players. One thing that is recommended though is trading in 10 legendary shards to the spider on the Tangled Shore per day to get 1 enhancement core. Be careful though, because he lets you keep buying more, but the cost doubles with each one that you buy, but the cost resets back to 10 every day. Next, we have mod components. These can be used to buy the daily armor or weapon mod from the gunsmith. You can also use it to buy a random black armory weapon mod. These come from gunsmith bounties. Mods are also a permanent unlock, so you'll never need to buy multiple of the same mod. Once you have it permanently unlocked. Next is upgrade modules. These are for infusion only. Infusion lets you choose one of your favorite armor or weapons, and you can take an higher powered item that is in that same slot and have your favorite absorb the power of that. Here's an example. A pro tip is that if you have a lower powered piece of gear that you really like the roll you have on it, but you get a higher powered version of that same gear piece, but you don't like the roll on that, you can infuse it into the other one for only 1000 glimmer instead of using an upgrade module. The last couple of things we've got here is the Vanguard and Crucible tokens. All you got to do is play those activities and do those bounties, and you get those tokens, and you can turn those into those vendors to get gear. They are not powerful gear pieces, but it does give you some random gear, which can be good, especially for new players. The last thing on my list for economy items are the Gambit Prime synths. You get these just from playing Gambit Prime naturally. You also get them from Gambit Prime bounties. You use Gambit Prime synths in the Reckoning mode. You use your synthesizer to convert them into a mote, and you bank the mote in the Reckoning bank, and then you complete your run of Reckoning Tier 1, 2, or 3, gives you Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 armor, and that's how that works. Next thing you should know is over to the left of your screen, you have buffs and debuffs. You can tell if they're good if they've got a green arrow going up and they've got a red arrow kind of going down. If they're bad, those are things to pay attention to, especially if you feel like something is happening to you that you don't understand. And you're like, what is happening to me? Why do I keep dying in this area? Or why can I not double jump here? Or what's going on? That means it shows the debuff over at the side. Also, it'll show when you have Rampage and some other positive modifiers on. Alright, so we've basically described most of the things you need to know about in the game in order to start playing the game. In this last section, we're going to talk about some loot and their sources and some of my recommendations for some things you can go after. Number 1, the seasonal artifact. In Season of the Dawn, you must be power level 850 in order to do the mission to get the artifact. That is the first thing I would recommend. The rest of these are not necessarily in any specific order, but we've got quest exotics. One of the very first missions you should have is the risk and reward mission, which will reward you with the Risk Runner, which is a really awesome exotic. Like, seriously, do not underestimate this exotic. This thing is a beast. Next is Gambit Prime. It is a great way to level up to 900, as well as Strikes and Crucible, as I mentioned before, especially if you're looking to skip the story. Gambit Prime also has tons of great loot as Spare Rations, Last Man Standing, Soul Survivor, just tons of really top tier weapons. Next is the Dreaming City, which has the weekly quest that you can get from Petra, where you do 8 daily bounties. You can also do the Ascendant Challenge. I highly recommend using YouTube guides for that, especially I just look up weekly guides because it changes every week. You're going to need a tincture of Queen's Foil, which you can get from chests in the Dreaming City. There's also the Blind Well and the heroic version of it, which is a tier 3 with also an unstable charge put into that. You can get the unstable charges from Petra for the dark fragments that you just get from quests and just completing bounties in the Dreaming City. She also has a daily challenge bounty that's all the way to the right in her inventory, which gives you a piece of gear. There are also the cat statues, and I've got a map linked below. If you get, I think it's called a small gift, and it says it smells faintly of mint or something, you can present those to these little cat statues, and they can give you Dreaming City gear, such as the Retold Tale, the Waking Vigil, Twilight Oath, really great stuff. There's also all of the Gambit Pinnacles / ritual weapons, which is like the 21% Delirium, the Python, the Exit Strategy, the Hush Bow. Those are all great. In the Crucible, you can get the Recluse, the Revoker, the Mountaintop, Randy's Throwing Knife, Luna's Howlin' Not Forgotten. Iron Banner has also lots of great armor and weapons, and they have great stats on their weapons. So that's like one thing to really keep in mind if you want to play PvP. That's where you get your high stat rolls. For Vanguard strikes, you can get the Loaded Question, the Buzzard, the Wendigo, the Edgewise. All of those are pinnacle / ritual weapons as well. You can pick up all of these that I'm mentioning from those vendors. Like, they have little tickets below which become quests for you. Make sure you're picking those up, like right now. For the Black Armory, the weekly bounties can get you Black Armory armor, and they also give you the ballistic logs, which allow you to pick up the Black Armory weapon frames. They could possibly be reworking this soon, so we'll see what that looks like in the coming months. But for now, that is how that works, and they're basically everything from Black Army is great. The Blast Furnace, the Hammerhead, Kindled Orchid, the Tatar Gaze. Seriously, like, get these. Next, we have the Menagerie. This is going to be an awesome activity for new players. There's a small quest to set it up. Most of the things in the game are going to be set up where when you reach a certain power level, it'll give you another quest to, like, go visit 801, go visit Benedict, go visit Drifter, all these different people. So look out for those and make sure you go and do visit them. Because especially for the Menagerie, you do need to get this quest done because it is so good. I believe it does show up on Nessus, on the barge in the Watcher's Grave. It is so easy to farm weapons in the Menagerie. You're going to get a chalice. You're going to make sure you upgrade Power and Efficiency 1 and Power and Efficiency 2 as the first things that you upgrade. I think it obviously makes you get the first rune slot, like, first, because you can't do anything else without that. But complete Menagerie Triumphs and just play the Menagerie, and you'll eventually get enough Imperials to upgrade Power and Efficiency 1 and Power and Efficiency 2. The reason you want to do that is because once you have Power and Efficiency 2, then you're going to be able to earn Imperials from playlist activities like Gambit, Strikes, and Crucible, and that's going to allow you to kind of chill on the Menagerie for a bit, play some other things in the game, and be progressing that at the same time. Highly recommended to do it like that. In the Menagerie, there's lots of great weapons for PvE and PvP. You've got the Beloved, you've got Awstringer, you've got Fixed Odds, you've got Dustrock Blues and Trust. You've got Twilight Oath and Badlander, Waking Vigil. You can also, once you've eventually upgraded your Chalice all the way and got Power and Efficiency 3, you have the chance to get Opulence mods. And the reason why that matters is because you can potentially get Hive Armaments as a mod, which is a mod you can put on armor that you have crafted in the menagerie, specifically the opulent set of armor, and it lets you be able to, it's so good. This is what you do. You get a grenade kill on a hive combatant and you instantly get heavy ammo. It is super powerful. I mean, that's going to be quite a long ways down the road for you, but I figure I let you know about it now, because so you've got something to chase for a while. We're almost done. Next, we've got the Leviathan raid. It has a decent amount of awesome fixed roll weapons. This is a year 1 raid. There are 3 raids on the Leviathan available for you, but I'm talking about the middle one, the main one. Not Eater of Worlds, not Spire of Stars, but just the Leviathan. Highly recommended. Do that. That also gives you high stat roll armor. There should be a good amount of people you can LFG for to do this raid. Next is Escalation Protocol. The level 7 boss chest gives armor on every completion, and once you beat level 7, you can reactivate the next node, and it only makes you do level 6 and then level 7 again, so you can keep farming armor from there. This does not necessarily give you high rolls, though the Escalation Protocol armor does look sick. Also, the level 7 boss rotates weekly and has a chance to drop 1 of 3 really cool weapons. They all have fixed rolls, but they are cool. Also, some of the bosses only drop a specific one of the 3, and some of the bosses drop all 3, and the boss rotates weekly. Next, we've got Altar of Sorrow. This is in the Sorrow's Harbor on the moon. It's pretty high difficulty, meaning it's going to be recommending like 940 power when you get to tier 5. So if you're pretty low level, you're going to need maybe some friends or to get lucky and hope that there's like a bunch of powerful people already playing that activity. It is basically a public event, but it drops 3 really cool weapons that rotate daily. So make sure you're checking in on that, because you're going to want some of those. The last couple things to look out for are just these. This is silly, I know. There's a bunch of world drop weapons that you can be looking for, but the few I'm going to point out right now is the Last Hope sidearm. If you can get Feeding Frenzy and Rampage, or Feeding Frenzy and Multi-Kill Clip on that thing is going to shred. It is going to be so good. Another thing you want to look out for is a Dust Rock Blues that has max range, though if you don't know, you never want to use the smooth bore barrel on shotguns. Just say no to smooth bore, okay? You'll find out if you look up any reviews online. And then the last thing is just a translation theory sidearm. It's kind of second place to Last Hope, but I just wanted to say, look out for some nice rolls on those weapons. Anyways, this has been my pretty massive guide on this. Hopefully I've been able to cut this down for you to not waste any of your time. Hopefully you learned some things that are useful for you. I also want to let you know that I do live stream on Twitch almost every day. And I've also been making some YouTube videos, got Destiny content. I live stream Destiny. I've also got a Discord server below if you ever want to talk about things beyond just the comment section of this video. But just want to let you know that YouTube gives you the option of subscribing and liking videos. If those are things you wanted to do, you can do that. And I'll see you hopefully in the next video.